Welcome to episode 36 of the Various and Sundry podcast. I'm your host, Matt Harmon, joined live in studio from the beautiful campus of Grace College and Theological Seminary by my good friend, my colleague, and the man who will probably prove to be wrong in his Mount Rushmore list coming up, John Sloat.
Doc, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm a little nervous about the shade you're already throwing at me for my Mount Rushmore list.
You know, it is what it is. So we are certainly enjoy having listeners connect with us on Twitter. You can do so at V&S Pod. You can email the show at variousandsundrypodcast@gmail.com. We have a Facebook page that you can also find, Various and Sundry Podcast. And arguably the most helpful thing you can do for us, besides, of course, downloading and listening,
Sure,
is to leave a rating and a review. Now, a 5-star rating.
we want a 5-star rating.
Just to be clear.
And in the review, you can put criticisms, anything like that. We're happy to accept criticisms.
Yes.
But the 5 stars is key.
Yeah, and I'll just throw this out there that we are now 3 weeks removed from our last review.
It's been a tough 3 weeks.
It has. And yet, arguably, strangely, paradoxically, it has been arguably the
Most downloaded
3 weeks of the podcast's
Agreed.
history. So it's not that people aren't listening.
No, in fact, you and I look at each other and just go, who's listening?
Yeah. This past week was our largest week ever. So doing the deep dive on the numbers, we continue to be delighted.
Delighted and befuddled all at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, at the least, it seems like you're telling other people about the podcast. Even if you're not taking the time to go actually write the review on the podcast app, you are clearly spreading the word, and so we're very grateful for that.
Or listening to it multiple times, or at least telling everyone, all of your friends to download it, or
absolutely.
something.
Absolutely. And internationally as well. We've got some international listeners.
Yeah, we pulled down Poland this week.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah, well. And we do seem to have a listener in Finland.
Not super consistent,
Okay.
but I would say we have a consistent listener in Spain, Belgium,
Yeah.
you know, kind of Germany even, the land of sausage, really, you know.
Okay.
It's really where we pull strong.
There you go. So, in any case, John, tell me a little bit about what's going on in the world of sports.
Well, the NBA playoffs are still going on. I believe the Bucks, the Milwaukee Bucks, who are your pick to go to the finals,
That's
is that
correct.
right?
Yeah.
Are in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Against the Miami Heat.
That's right. They were down 3-0. And we're recording this on Monday, on Labor Day, laboring on Labor Day. And yesterday's game, the Bucks, despite Giannis turning his ankle in the second quarter and not returning, managed to stave off elimination, though it seems like it's only a matter of time for them.
Without Giannis.
Yeah,
I think so.
They haven't ruled him out for a return in Game 5. But in any case, it's hard to envision them rallying all the way back. But it's hard to know what to make of that. This was the first loss in the playoffs for the Heat. They had swept the Pacers, and they won the first 3 against the Bucks. So
The Heat are getting hot.
they're beyond hot. They're in fuego. They are in fuego. They have managed to, until this past game, they move the ball really well, and they shoot the 3 exceptionally well. And
Jimmy Butler's a good playoff player.
He is.
He doesn't get along with everybody, as displayed in Minnesota and Philadelphia, but he's a good playoff player.
He is. The other series in the East, your pick, the Toronto Raptors, staved off going down 3-0. Did you see this highlight?
I did not. Okay.
They were down 2 games.
Oh, is this the inbound pass with the three-pointer? Yes, that was beautiful.
Yeah, so they're down 2-0 to the Celtics, and the Celtics score on a layup with like 0.5 left. So now the Raptors are down 2, I think it was, And so they take a timeout, advance the ball into the front court, and they've got 0.5 seconds. Otherwise, they're going down 3-0, and no team has ever come back, I don't think, in the NBA playoffs from 3-0. Or maybe there's been like one.
I think LeBron might have one.
That was 3-1.
That was 3-1.
That was 3-1 in the finals. And so basically going down 3-0 is essentially a death wish. It's just, at that point, you're starting to make your postseason plans and when you're going to leave the bubble. And so they throw this, I don't know where Nick Nurse got this play from. I think he stole it from Hubie Brown. But basically, I think it was Kyle Lowry throws this cross-court pass, basically, from one sideline out of bounds spot all the way to the other side of the floor for, I forget the player who caught the ball and hit the three. But it wasn't one of their most dominant players. It wasn't Siakam. It wasn't Kyle Lowry. He was the one that threw the ball in. So guy catches and throws up a three that goes in, wins the game, and now the Raptors won again. Was that yesterday or day before?
Got to be yesterday.
So now the series is 2-2. The Celtics were 0.5 seconds away from going up 3-0 and essentially locking up the series.
So that play, that inbound play, I did see that. Did you see who they had on Kyle Lowry?
Inbounding it? I forget.
Taco Falls.
Oh, that's right, the 7'6" kid.
Yes, and did you hear what Kyle Lowry said with one of the great lines of the NBA season?
I didn't.
Well, I think there was an expletive in there, so I'll definitely leave that out. But basically, okay. I got a 7'12" guy on me. This is what he said.
Yeah. Taco Falls crazy tall, man. Him and Boban it'd be fun to watch them play one-on-one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's what's going on with the NBA playoffs. The other series, so Rockets and Lakers tied at 1. And I think the Clippers and Nuggets are tied at 1.
That sounds right.
So those series look very competitive, look like they could go, 6-7 games potentially. So that's the NBA. Tell us about your Mets, John.
Yeah, so the Mets over the weekend, the bats have picked up. The hitting has begun. They won 14-1 yesterday, which hasn't been the case this year. So there's 17, 18, 19 games left, something like that, and they're pushing for a playoff spot. So it'll be an exciting finish down the
How many playoff
ladder.
teams are they doing? Are they doing the normal, win the division and then, the play-in game, wild card stuff? How are they doing this?
So I believe it's 2 from every division.
Okay.
And some wild cards. So it's like half the league is getting into to the playoffs.
Of course.
Because that's where the owners make their money in baseball.
Right.
They don't make money on the regular season, right? They make their money on the TV contracts in the playoffs.
Okay. So your Mets have a realistic chance of getting into the playoffs?
Sure. Under 500, yes, the Mets have a realistic chance of getting into the playoffs.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, on a sports note that we don't normally talk about, we have
Yet.
It
Well, hasn't,
Do we have plans on talking about Grand Slam tennis here, about U.S. Open tennis?
Oh no, sorry, I'm a segment ahead on us.
Yeah. We'll get to that. We have talked about that, but in any case, there was an interesting incident in the U.S. Open, the tennis tournament, which I used to play tennis, so I keep a modest interest on the Grand Slam events. But Novak Djokovic, the number 1 seeded player in the U.S. Open men's tournament, was defaulted.
And what does defaulted mean, just for our
disqualified, basically. Okay. Because in the middle of the match, after he lost a point, he took a ball out of his pocket and, in frustration, hit it back behind him, not really paying attention to where he was hitting it. Hit it pretty hard, and it hit a woman line judge and injured her, knocked her out. Not out, but on the replay of it, you see him do this, and then you hear her it's an unpleasant sound. And so basically they disqualified him for this act. So just a weird sort of unusual.
And what was his reaction? Was he upset? Was he?
I did not see any post-match response by him. On the court, as he was discussing this with the officials, he did not seem animated or argumentative on the court about.
Was there concern for the woman on his part?
I think so.
Okay.
That's
what I would expect
I think
to
when
see.
it happened, he did realize what he had done and then walked over to see what had happened. So it wasn't like he was callously like whatever. So in any case, there's your U.S. Open tennis update. Unexpected little nugget there.
Yeah. Who knew U.S. Open's going on right now?
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah, weird to see it without people in the stands, essentially.
Weird to see everything with
I know.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that will be a little different, we are now just we're recording on Monday of Labor Day, so we're like 3 days away?
Yeah,
from
Thursday night.
From the kickoff of the
NBC,
NFL season?
Yeah, NBC has a football game.
Okay.
A regular season football game.
It's Texans-Chiefs, right?
That sounds right.
I think that's right.
This is what gets me about the NFL this year. I don't think I had any idea it was coming until last week before we started recording. You looked at me and goes, do you want to talk NFL? Why? It starts in 10 days. What?
Yeah.
It feels like it snuck up on me. I feel unprepared for it.
Yeah.
Fantasy football hasn't drafted. I don't know that it will draft.
My sons were in a league that drafted last night.
So I'm in a league with guys I went to college with, and
Okay.
there's one guy in Pennsylvania who does all the drafting for us, and it's called Winona Lake Past and Present.
Okay.
Those of us who currently live in Winona Lake and those of us who know, it's kind of clever.
Yeah.
But, I just haven't heard anything in the NFL. There's been no preseason.
Well, that's what I think has probably helped catch you off guard is normally we have these preseason games where there's 4 preseason games and, the first one, like the starters play a series and then they're out. And then like the second one, they play like a quarter, maybe into the second quarter. And then the third one, they play typically the first half and then
like
a series in the third quarter. And then the fourth one, they typically don't even play. And that's where you get to see guys fighting for roster spots and some of these guys that were later round draft picks that you're like, oh, I wonder if they're going to stick with the team. So without that kind of buzz of, oh, wow, this guy who was a 6th round draft pick or an undrafted free agent is actually going to make the team and make a splash on the team, you don't have any of that talk. So I think that's part of the reason why it's kind of snuck up on us.
Yeah. But it is Houston and Kansas City.
Okay.
This Thursday night, 8:20 start. Whew. I'm getting old. Like I have like maybe a quarter and a half of that game, and then I'm going to bed.
Well, that works well for my mentor group, actually. That
You probably
8:20
get
start.
done about 8:20 with mentor group.
No,
Closer to 9?
more like 9:30 typically, and then we watch usually the rest of the first half. So that'll be about right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that develops. Any particular storylines or things that you're interested to see for the NFL this year?
I'm always looking forward to the Cowboys imploding. I'm going to be really excited to see Tampa Bay this year and see what the creamsicle does with Tom Brady.
Yes, and Gronk, right?
And Gronk came out of retirement to play with Tom in Tampa.
Yeah, putting Gronkowski in Tampa or anywhere in Florida really seems like a risk to me, given his proclivities towards partying. I mean,
Yeah.
not that he couldn't find a party anywhere. I mean, you could stick him in the middle of.
He could find one in Green Bay.
Yeah, he could find one in Green Bay. So.
So I'm looking forward to that. Patriots are always interesting without Brady,
And Cam Newton.
and Cam Newton's
What
there.
will Bill Belichick do with him?
Yeah, will Bill comment on his wardrobe choices?
Did you see he's doing a commercial, by the way? Bill Belichick is doing a Subway commercial.
Why?
I don't know. They must be paying him truckloads of money. It's very strange to see him pitching a product like that.
Does he mumble the whole time, or like what's the pitch?
He's advocating for a Subway sandwich. There's a nice little, he has a nice little moment with a fan where he cuts off the sleeves to his shirt to mimic the sweatshirt, the sleeveless sweatshirt that Bill likes to rock. So,
Man, I wonder what bet he lost.
I don't know. Subway must have backed up the Brinks truck to his home and just dumped buckets of cash on him. In any case, I think for me it'll be interesting to see. Can the Chiefs repeat?
That is an interesting storyline. I think Seattle's always interesting with Russell Wilson.
Yep.
The 49ers, do they take a step back with Garoppolo, or do they take a
Yeah.
step forward?
And the Browns. The Browns came into the last season like, oh, they're going to be a playoff
They're gonna be
team.
great,
They could be
and it was-
competing for the Super Bowl, and it was a dumpster fire.
Sure.
And so it'll be interesting to see with the talent they have, can they figure it out?
I don't know what to do with my Jets this year. Sam Darnold's entering his third year, which is typically the year where they take off a little bit if a quarterback's going to stick. The defense, I don't even know what to expect. And they've signed some offensive linemen, which I'm very excited. They got that mountain man out of Louisville, who's just a massive person to play tackle. So, I don't know what to expect from the Jets this year. I think I'm probably expecting 8-8.
Okay. Yeah, though 8-8 comes in different varieties, right?
Sure.
There's you're kind of 500 most of the year, and you end up 8-8. There's we started 5-3, we're in contention, and then you finish the season 3-5. Or there's you started 2-6,
and you finish
and
8-8.
You're out of the playoffs, and then you start winning meaningless games and get to 8-8.
Yeah.
Not every 8-8 is created equal.
No.
I'm interested to see the new crop of Ohio State players that got drafted. Will they make an impact? Dwayne Haskins, starting his second year now. And
with the Washington football team?
Yeah, with the Washington football team. Unfortunately, he's still with the Washington football team, and so, the coaching and the development is not great. But
although I do like the coach he's with. I do like Ron Rivera.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty good hire for them. And the Redskins football team, Washington football team, the team.
Yeah.
What do you even call them for short? Washington.
Well, you want to know what? It seems like soccer can get away with that, right? The football club of Manchester, whatever. Right. I know I'm getting that wrong, but
you can direct all of those nasty tweets to John at Sloat_John, right?
No, it's the other way around. John_Sloat.
Sorry.
But yeah, it feels like soccer can get away with that, but football, this is a crime. That they don't have a nickname.
Right, but the Washington football team did draft Chase Young, dominant.
Okay.
Defensive end in college. We'll see how he does. And J.K. Dobbins playing with the Ravens. That'll be an interesting, I think, pairing with Lamar Jackson in the backfield. So those are some things I'm interested in looking at. But
okay, you ready to move on to our main topic?
We better move on to our main topic. What is our main topic today, John?
So we're going through some list, which, some top fours, but basically we're calling it the Mount Rushmore episode. So,
and we should give credit to
Chase Ringler.
Yes, Chase from Indiana.
Oh, curses. Yes, Chase from Indiana.
I may have to get the bleeping technology out, right?
Yeah. So Chase sent us this. We were excited about it.
It's actually part of the Q&A when we solicited Q&A.
Yeah.
He suggested this, and we thought it was an excellent idea, and decided, why don't we blow that up into just a main topic of Mount Rushmore lists. And so now, just to be clear, we have not consulted before going on.
No, not at all.
We agreed on what topics we would work through, and then but we did not share our list with each other. So it'll be interesting to see how much overlap there is or there is not. And so we didn't do any scientific process. I think I just decided that you would go first on our first category, which is dead theologians.
Dead theologians.
So our Mount Rushmore of dead theologians.
Personally impactful to us, dead theologians.
That's how you interpreted it.
That's how I interpreted it.
Okay.
That's how I'm choosing to interpret it.
Okay. Well, that might result in some differences.
Yeah. Okay. So do we want to go every other, you and I, or do you want me to give you my whole list?
I want to hear. I think we should give the full four.
The full list.
And then.
Okay. So dead theologians that I find particularly impactful to me and in my development. Number one on the list, and these aren't in any particular order, this is just how I thought about them. I had John Stott down.
Okay.
I like me some John Stott.
Okay.
There's some good commentaries there. Number two, I have C.S. Lewis.
Okay.
Number three, Dietrich Bonhoeffer.
Okay.
And finally, number four, I have John Owen.
Okay.
Mortification of Sin.
All right.
Do we have any overlap whatsoever?
Nope.
Okay.
And I think part of it is because I took it the direction of the 4 greatest, most historically significant, not personally impactful.
Okay, I did personally impactful.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. So here is my list of 4 here. I have got Augustine.
Yeah, it's hard to argue. It feels like everybody builds off Augustine to a certain extent, doesn't it?
Yeah. Part of what's great about Augustine is the fact that you can find almost any theological position you want to advocate for in Augustine, because he was all over the map, changed his mind regularly. So Catholics love him, Protestants love him. He's kind of everybody's favorite.
Everyday philosophers
except for
love
Pelagius.
Him. Yeah.
Pelagius
he did not love him.
Not a big fan. And then I'm going to go with John Calvin.
Of course, yeah.
And I would say that these are still very personally impactful to me. So I'm not.
Would you have Augustine up there as personally impactful for you?
Yeah,
Really?
based on Confessions and based on City of God.
Okay.
I'd go with those. Jonathan Edwards, third on there.
Yeah, I knew Edwards would be on there.
Again, not necessarily in order here. And then the fourth one I debated. I went back and forth. And I went ultimately with Thomas Aquinas.
Interesting. Talk to me about Aquinas.
Big on faith and reason.
Yeah.
Big on trying to bring those two worlds together and try to explain how those two serve the life of Christ or serve our understanding of Christ and the gospel. Again, not fully endorsing everything that
Sure.
that any of these individuals were advocating necessarily. I almost went with Athanasius.
Really?
Mr. Trinity, man.
Yeah.
He held the fort on Nicene Trinity. Nicene Trinitarianism. So yeah, I thought about Lewis. Out of your list, the only one I thought of, and Owen probably would have made for me maybe a second mountain.
So he's in the top 8.
Probably.
Okay.
Probably.
Lewis as well in that.
That's borderline. Again, part of me gets hung up on theologian. Mm-hmm. Like Lewis wasn't really a theologian. He was an apologist. And a very powerful spokesperson for Christianity, mere Christianity.
So I'm taking theologian pretty loosely in both these categories because I have some pastors in the second category of living.
Yeah, I think that...
and I thought about Augustine too. I just haven't found Augustine as personally
not even
impactful.
Confessions?
Confessions was great, and I really enjoyed Confessions.
Aren't you reading City of God right now?
I'm reading City of God right now.
Yeah?
Although I'm finding City of God pretty thick.
It is thick, definitely.
So, but it's like I'm knocking out like a few pages a day, sort of pace. But
I mean, I love me some John Owen. He is, in addition to his mortification of sin, death of death, and the death of Christ,
absolutely
helping to articulate the traditional Calvinist position of particular redemption, sometimes known as limited atonement, and so that's money right there. Mm-hmm. Plus, he wrote towards the end of his life some reflections on the glory of Christ that are just deeply moving. So, do you have the set? Do you have John Owen's set of works?
I don't. I have Death of Death and Death of Christ, and I had Mortification of Sin. I loaned it to my mother, and I just never received it back.
Celeste.
I know. I think it's gone forever.
Wow. Throwing her under the bus there.
Yeah. It'll be a good test to see if she listens or not.
Yeah, there you go. You can often get his collected works, like 16 volumes, from who is it? Banner of Truth, I think, sometimes has it. You can sometimes get that collection for around $250, so it's a chunk. But that and his Hebrews commentary. You ever seen that? His Hebrews commentary. It's like 6 or 7 volumes,
really
separate from the collected works. That's very
no, I don't
deep
think
dive.
I've seen that.
Yeah, so would warmly commend that to you.
All right. Well, we could talk about these 8 all day, but
Yeah.
do you want to move on to living?
Probably should. Yep. So I guess I'm up first on this one, right?
Yes.
So, and here's where I will. When I hear the term theologian coming from the academy, typically theologians are distinguished from biblical scholars and and that kind of thing. And so I'm joining you in using it a little bit more broadly, but still thinking sort of historically speaking, who have had the most significant impact. So I'm not necessarily going personal.
You're not going personal. Okay.
No, and I'm going a little bit more from our own tribe. So
okay,
not necessarily moving outside. So here we go. First is Kevin Van Hooser.
Van Hooser.
So Van Hooser has had, I think, a pretty significant impact of trying to push evangelicals to think a little more broadly on certain issues, in particular on the issues of interpretation, while still arguing for authorial intent. He's done it in a far more, what I would contend is a far more philosophically grounded, nuanced way than sometimes we in the evangelical camp have. Number 2, Don Carson.
Don.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think you need to say any more.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I actually intentionally left him off my list because I figured he'd be on your list.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Third, and again, thinking like impact-wise, Wayne Grudem. His systematic theology book is the dominant textbook used in evangelical seminaries for the past 25 to 30 years now.
Yeah.
And it is widely considered kind of the go-to resource on that front. And then fourth, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. J.I. Packer.
Oh, well.
I mean, he just died. He just died within the last couple months. So I'm gonna cheat.
I thought you were about to say, well, I'm gonna pick up biblical theologian or
No, I'm going to go
Anglican or something like that. But
Packer
is Anglican. Yeah. But
I think on the popular level, he's just had such a remarkable
unmatched.
impact as well. So there's my 4.
Okay.
What do you got?
So we have no overlap.
Of course.
And intentionally so. I think it's it's better content if we don't have any overlap. But my 4, I think you could probably name the first one.
Could probably name the first one. Well, I don't know where you're going.
So I take theologian probably even more broadly than you do.
Okay.
But I'm going Tim Keller with the first one there.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not disrespecting. I just don't think of him in that primary category.
Yep. And I took it theologian, pastor, theologian sort of area. But somebody that's had the most development on me, somebody that I'm reading constantly, Keller. Second, I have Tom Schreiner.
Okay.
I recommend just about everything that Schreiner's written.
Yeah.
And he's, I had him at Southern as well, and he's just a delightful human to interact with.
One of the nicest men you will ever meet.
Yeah.
And one of the most unassuming. Like if you just encountered him at the grocery store or watching like a Little League baseball game or something, you'd have no idea he was kind of a big deal in our tribe.
Yeah, yeah. He's just so nice. I remember presenting a paper to him and him ripping into me a little bit, and then afterwards, kind of coming back and go, "So you got in the MLB playoffs,
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Oh my goodness." Third, not that I always recommend or agree with everything he says. N.T. Wright. N.T. Wright is goodness. He's just a part of every conversation. It feels like we have at some level when it comes to biblical interpretation and.
It is
theology.
hard to argue against his significance with So yeah, absolutely.
And then I couldn't decide on a fourth one. I kind of kept going back and forth. I ended up choosing Kevin DeYoung.
Okay.
Younger guy. I've always appreciated his preaching. Have always enjoyed his writing as well, particularly at a popular level. So those are my 4.
Okay.
That are not historically significant, but personally significant.
Well, we said current.
Current, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you can debate the historical significance or whatever. And, you went a little broader in terms of pulling in pastoral considerations there. So, I think in light of that, it's hard to argue some of those. Yeah, maybe Kevin DeYoung. I think on the same level as those other three, despite the fact that I find him quite enjoyable. Always enjoy his writing and his teaching. So,
I really wanted to put Don Carson there, but I knew you would have Don Carson in your list, and I didn't want to match it up completely.
Okay. So we've got a few more lists that we're departing more into the sports realm here.
So trigger warning for those of you out there that don't like sports.
Who do not like sports. We'll try to keep it entertaining for you. So we're going to go all-time NFL quarterbacks. All-time NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah, and you're going to hate me for the way I interpret this again, but I went quarterbacks that I enjoyed watching the most. So I stuck to more modern quarterbacks.
So am I not going to get? Okay, I had almost had you written down for a Joe Willie Namath, but you never saw him.
I have another list coming up.
Okay, that's true.
So then that's otherwise. I think Joe Willie would have been on this list.
Okay. All right,
Peyton Manning.
Okay,
right up there. And I think regardless of all time or just a quarterback I enjoyed watching, Peyton Manning's going to be on that list.
Okay.
And then another modern quarterback I'll put on that list, Drew Brees. Always fun to watch.
Okay.
Always a good quarterback to watch. And then two quarterbacks that are probably a little off the radar. Not like you'll know the names, but they probably aren't as prominent as the other two. I put Steve McNair.
That's definitely not as prominent. I know who Steve McNair is.
But Steve McNair, I just remember growing up, living in Tennessee at the time, and watching Steve McNair play in Sundays, week in, week out. And he was a lot of fun to watch. Either he's
Air
McNair in the Super Bowl. He kind of had that Ben Roethlisberger sort of feel before Ben Roethlisberger. He's always hurt with a million injuries, always standing up in the pocket, taking a million hits and throwing the ball downfield. And then somebody else that lived in Chattanooga for about 5 to 6 years, Michael Vick. There was just nothing like Michael Vick. Watching Michael Vick take off, particularly the one famous run against the Minnesota Vikings where he's just weaving in and out of people, was great. And so those are my top 4 all-time favorite to watch.
There's a podcast. Have you listened to the podcast that does a deep dive into Steve McNair's murder?
I did, yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I forget the name of it, but
I can't remember it either. Sports Illustrated, I think.
Yeah.
But it was...
Did it have Titan in the name of it?
Yes.
I can't remember.
But it was a weird situation.
Yeah.
They didn't really come to any sort of conclusion, but a lot of conspiracy in there, and it was fascinating.
Yeah.
All right, give me your 4 all-time. Do we have any overlap whatsoever?
We do. We do have one. And I took this as my attempt to actually list the 4 greatest NFL quarterbacks in NFL history.
Yeah, and I went off book.
Yeah. I'm not listing these in order, so I felt good about 3. Joe Montana, as much as
Joe Montana's got to be up there.
Disliked Joe Montana.
You see, if I didn't like them, I didn't put them on my list.
Yeah, obviously, because the next one you're going to hate.
Yeah, I know which one you're going to say.
Tom Brady.
Goodness.
Peyton Manning's my 3rd.
Okay.
And then I debated. I debated. Breeze kind of floated around in my consciousness for a little bit. I mean, he's setting NFL records in terms of, and the fact that he's 6 foot tall.
He's fun to watch.
And he's a lot of fun to watch.
Seems like a good guy.
And he's a good dude.
Yeah.
So, but I narrowed it down to either Brett Favre. Yeah. Or Dan Marino. I know you're not going to like that because you're a Jets fan.
I don't like the
But
Dan
when
Marino
I was
pick.
growing up in the 80s, there was no one like Dan Marino.
Right.
Guy just threw the ball all over the field.
Well, he's 20 years too early.
He had the Marks brothers, was the nickname for his 2 wide receivers. Mark Duper and Mark Clayton, I think, were the names. And they just threw it all over the field. Got to the Super Bowl his rookie year, I think. They lost. And everyone's like, he'll get back and he'll win a Super Bowl, probably 2 or 3. Never got back. So he's in that category of, best best to never win a championship kind of guy. So
Yeah, my dad always talked about the fake spike by Dan Marino against the Jets. Yeah,
Favre was just a lot of fun to watch.
Favre was fun to watch, and he always seemed to pull some sort of miracle out of thin air.
Yeah, I mean, he made it he looked like he was playing backyard football, just running around, and then just making passes like, what is he doing throwing that? Oh, that's a touchdown. Okay.
I heard a story one time where Brett Favre was kind of going like, "Hey, I keep hearing about this nickel defense in the NFL. What is the nickel?"
Yeah.
They're like, "You're serious?" He goes, yeah.
Yeah.
It's where they bring a fifth defensive back on the field. Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, we are not being very disciplined in our time.
Oh, goodness.
And so we've got how do you want to do this? You want to try to get through the rest of them, or
Yeah, let's get through.
NBA players.
Let's make them quick though. Do you want
Okay.
to? And again, I took it as personal.
Of course.
Which ones I liked? Yeah.
Yeah. So, any non-Knicks in there, John? Let me guess. Patrick Ewing made that list.
Ewing made that list. Yeah.
John Stark made that list.
No, John Stark. I almost went John Stark because he was my childhood hero. But
Give me your list.
Ewing, Bernard King,
Of course.
which is a little more historical, but fun player.
Yeah.
Steph Curry. Okay, and here's my reasoning.
Ugh.
My reasoning on Steph Curry, I thought about this a lot, was probably 4 or 5 years ago, there was nothing more exciting than a Steph Curry three-pointer in the NBA. I remember watching the playoffs and just watching three-pointers go up, and it was just the building was ecstatic.
I will give you that he has transformed the game because of his three-point shooting and the range that he would shoot. No doubt about that. Sadly, quick note, that's had, I think, a bad effect on lower levels of basketball.
I'm sure.
We're watching junior high and high school basketball and even college. You see guys pulling up from 25 or 30 feet, and you're like, you're not Steph Curry, dude. Like, I know Steph Curry can do that. I know Dame Lillard can do that. You should not be pulling up from 30 feet. Sorry.
And you want to know what? I see some guys in the NBA do it that maybe shouldn't be doing it. Sure. You know, so Steph Curry, just because he's been a lot of fun to watch over the years. And then more as a broadcaster, but was an excellent player, Clyde Frazier.
Of course. Well, I'm glad to see you threw one non-Nick on there.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so I went historical greatness. And so I was good about
No overlap?
No. No. My first three were easy. Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, and LeBron.
In that order? No order?
No order on that.
Okay.
The fourth one I debated and landed on Kareem.
Yeah,
I hated going with the second center, but he was just longevity, all-time leading scorer, all those kinds of things, and created a shot that no one could block. So those are my NBA list. Okay, now pandering to our special interests.
Okay. This might be the most fast-forwarded part of the of episodes to date.
So do I go first? Am I up first? I don't know.
I think you got me first, but I did NBA first. But,
all right. Doesn't matter.
Okay, so my four Jets
Yes.
of all time. Joe Namath.
Of course. Joe Willie Namath.
Joe Willie Namath.
Yeah.
Curtis Martin.
Okay.
Hard to argue with Curtis Martin.
My favorite Martin? Yes.
Curtis, my favorite Martin. I mean, like fifth or sixth all-time rushing leader. And then this one was my reach. Somebody that I loved watching through high school and college was Jericho Cotchery.
Yeah.
Who would just catch anything was thrown at him. Remember one time he pulled a hamstring on a play, and they threw the ball, and it was behind him, and he still was able to catch the ball. He was a lot of fun to watch just because he's a good possession receiver. And then Darrelle Revis.
Of course. Revis Island.
Yeah. So those are my four Jets.
Okay. I do not have a Jets list. I have a
Ohio
State football list. Okay, so in no particular order here, Woody Hayes.
Oh,
legendary coach.
Yeah.
Legendary coach. Archie Griffin.
Okay, of course.
Two-time Heisman
winner.
Trophy winner. Eddie George.
Yep.
And then I debated on this last one. I almost went with Orlando Pace, the most dominant offensive lineman I've ever seen in college.
Tackle, guard?
Tackle.
Yeah.
And had a Hall of Fame career in the NFL with the Rams.
And was on a recent commercial I saw.
I ended up going with Chris Spielman. I think, historically speaking, he was a linebacker. Mm-hmm. And he, at one point, held the career record for tackles and the single game record. He had 29 tackles in a game against the team up north. Went on to and he's just he has been a spokesperson for the institution, and so I think historically significant. That's the direction I went there.
Okay. Well, that brings us to our athlete.
It does bring us to our athlete. Who we got for 36, John?
So 36 is a thin number.
It is.
And I don't mean that by the people that we have on the list. It's not many people have worn 36.
Yeah.
So there's some opportunity out there for a young lad who wants to enter the professional ranks and dominate the number 36.
There you go.
First of all, let us say that Shaquille O'Neal did wear this number, but for his last season in the NBA. So we didn't count him. Jerome Bettis,
the bus
for the Steelers, who was a very, very good running back. Mm-hmm. Marcus Smart, current Celtic, which is he on the Celtics still?
He is. Yeah.
Okay, we're reaching.
Yeah.
And Rasheed Wallace.
Yeah.
Famous bald spot.
Yeah, and he was one of the first big guys to shoot the three consistently. Like he was like 6'10", 6'11".
Yeah, I remember him with the
long and lanky.
The Pistons, those very, very good Pistons teams,
and then with the Blazers as well. Mm-hmm. And he was kind of a character as well.
Yeah.
So,
well, him and Ben Wallace on the same team, I think, were a lot of fun together.
Interesting dude. In terms of Ohio State, Tom Cousineau, a linebacker in the 70s, and then Chris Spielman also wore number 36, linebacker from 1984 to 1987. In addition to his exploits on the field, he's had a lengthy NFL career with the Lions, is now an NFL broadcaster, and after the passing of his wife, Stephanie, I think about 6 or 7 years ago, he started the Stephanie Spielman Cancer Foundation to raise money for cancer research and that kind of thing. So he is a Buckeye legend. Just he's an old school football kind of guy. So, all right, which way you want to go?
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say that if I got my way, I'd pick Jerome Bettis.
Okay.
I personally got to watch him in his last season, saw his last game at Heinz Field, saw him play the Bears that year where he had a 60-yard run down the sideline in the snow. I really enjoyed Jerome Bettis. However, I'm going to leave the choice to you.
Wow. Okay.
And I know that you really want to pick Chris Spielman.
I do.
But I'm going to leave the choice to you.
I am not opposed to Jerome Bettis, but I don't have strong feelings about Jerome Bettis. I have pretty strong feelings about Chris Spielman.
Again, it's your decision.
Okay. All right. Well, I realize that this will come back around at some point when we lean towards. I defer to you when we get to a player. So
I did take 33. I did make a decision on 33.
Yeah, I think we should go with Chris Spielman.
Okay.
One thing you liked, John?
One thing I liked this week, met up with some friends in Winona, went out on their boat for an evening, midweek tour around the lake. And
was this the Grace boat?
No. This was not the Grace College boat.
Did you know we have a boat?
Yeah, we do have a boat.
Okay.
We have a couple of boats, actually. Okay. But no, this was just on their pontoon. We're just cruising around. And we came across something that I had never seen before, and it was called a foil. Have you heard of this?
I'm not sure I have.
It is basically, now they make them both motorized and ones that you can just be behind the boat, but it's basically a surfboard with a piece that goes deep and has a fin. Mm-hmm. So what happens is when you get up to speed, you're lifted up out of the water, and it looks like you're on just a peg in the water. It's very interesting. Go Google it. It was fascinating. I mean, obviously I didn't get on it, but I watched it, and it was fascinating to watch. And it was just a lovely evening out on the boat.
Okay, that's nice.
How about yourself?
So this past week we had good friends visit the Alexanders. Good friends from the Chicago area. When we both lived in the Chicago area, we were constantly around each other and involved in each other's lives very, very closely. And despite the fact that we've moved on here to Indiana, been here for the last 14 years, and they've been in the Chicago area still, we've kept in good contact with them, and it was nice to see them and their 6 children.
Whew.
So, they're taking Genesis 1:28 pretty seriously. So,
Yeah.
in any case, nice to be with them. So glad that they were able to stop in for a few days as part of their vacation. So. Well, are we ready to call mission accomplished here?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I feel like we've lived up to our name, various and sundry. Yeah.
I think so.
I think so. So I think that we probably should move on with the rest of our day, and we are laboring on Labor Day here at Grace College and Theological Seminary.
That's right.
Yeah. We take it seriously.
I taught my class this morning.
Yeah. I'm off to a meeting next. So, with that said, I think all we have to leave you with is the Lord bless you all real good.
Later.